Hello, welcome back. Part 2 of my mental journey. So I'm back in the house and everything seems to be going okay. I'm in control, I'm lucid. I'm still a little bit woozy, obviously from the overdose. But I had a brief talk to Rachel about what had happened, but nothing in depth, and she was very forgiving, and never really asked me why or anything like that. I mean, I couldn't tell her anyway, but I don't really know why. I mean, because you're not in control of yourself. You know, it's not you that's doing it. It's the part of the brain that, excuse me, I just had a sip of tea. It's the part of the brain that you have no control over. Excuse me, that was a mistake having that sip of tea. But yeah, I mean, things were as before. I was the primary caregiver to the kids and Rachel went to work. The kids' school was approximately 500 metres, maybe 600 metres from where we lived. Basically just down 1, 2, 3 little streets. But taking the kids to school, I'd have to leave earlier than you would normally. You know, it's about a 10-minute walk if you're walking slow. But I would leave with the kids at about 8 o'clock. Couldn't get into school until 20 to 9. But I didn't have the strength to get there without stopping at the benches that were in like an elderly community sort of thing. And it came a bit of a, bless her, for the kids, it was a bit of a game, you know, let's get to the first bench, let's get to the second bench. But each time I'd get there, I'd sit down and I'd be like, oh, absolutely drained, you know, and that was the effect of obviously the Addison's disease reacting to what I'd done, and obviously the stress of the situation, because when you have Addison's disease, your immune system is compromised, obviously, but also you're unable to process stress. Your body can't manage stress or process it, so it reacts to it by triggering Addison's and other things. So this went on for a while, and the clouds started to come down again, and I was having thoughts and, you know, thinking that, what am I doing? You know, I'm contributing nothing to the household. You know, I'm contributing nothing to the family. At this time, for some reason, which I find abhorrent, but again, I didn't have control of myself or my feelings. But at this point, I had no feelings towards my kids, and that scared me a lot. I was sat in the lounge watching telly, and it was like I sat with strangers with the kids. You know, I had no feelings of love or anything, you know, and I couldn't understand that. And unfortunately with mental illness, when you have a thought process, it doesn't leave you. It accelerates and it triggers other things, and it's like a constant running tap. And how it was explained to me, I had 4 different therapists over a period of years. The first one was rubbish, absolute rubbish guy, and he put me off therapy for quite a few years. He just didn't want to talk about anything. He wanted to talk about himself, really. But the next 3 were brilliant. The second one was a Liverpudlian, which used to drive me crazy, because he used to keep saying, I'm going to do a terrible Scouse accent now, but he used to say, you've got to accept it, you've got to accept it. And I used to hate that word and how he said it, because it was like almost forcing you to realise that this is the situation and it's never going to change. Because that was the thing that scared me out of my wits. The first session I had with this guy, he said, Tim, I can't cure you. This isn't going to go away. And that terrified me, because I thought, with all my medications and illnesses, I thought it'll be another set of pills and then it'll be fine. And it terrified me. I thought, I can't live with this forever. I just can't do it. And I had my mandatory 8 sessions with him and got by, you know, muddling through. I wasn't myself. I was just going through the motions, really. And there was always that voice at the back of your head. When I say voice, I don't mean you hear voices. For me, I was hearing my own voice saying things to me. Like, you're worthless, you know, what are you doing here? You're dragging your family down, you know, you don't love them and they don't love you, and you'd be better off leaving the planet. And it started one day. Rachel said to me, because Rachel was very good, she would push me to do things because I was so tired all the time. You know, I was lying down for hours and hours, and a thought in my head was, I just want to be in a room somewhere, laying down and be left alone. And I could do that for years. Anyway, she would push me to do things, little jobs. And she said to me one day, can you make Grace a cheese sandwich for lunch? And I said, yeah, sure. So I went in the kitchen, got the bread out, the cheese, the butter, got the knife out. And then that was it. I just didn't know what to do. Didn't know what to do. And I stood there thinking, I don't know how to make a sandwich. And the more I thought about it, I thought, you're 34. So that means it was 13 years ago. So going back to the last video, it would be about 13 years ago. Or was I 38? I don't know. I can't remember. It's not important. But I thought, I'm 30 something years old. There's no way in the world I can get to 30 something years old without knowing how to make a cheese sandwich. I got all the ingredients there. What happens? What goes first? And I just stood there and I just couldn't do it. And I thought, what do I do? And I was panicking and my heart was going. And I just stood there and I thought, I can't go in there and say I don't know how to do it. But that's what I had to do. I said, Rachel, I don't know how to make a sandwich. She said, oh, don't be so stupid. I said, seriously, I don't know. I said, I've got everything out. I said, I'm not trying to get out of doing it. I'm happy to do it, but I don't know how you do it. She said, well, butter first and then the cheese. So I went back in the kitchen, butter first and then cheese. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. Oh, brilliant. And that was it. But that thought process and that experience haunted me severely, thinking, this is getting really bad. If I can't make a sandwich, what use are you? And then the thoughts came back again. You better off leaving. You know, get out, get off this planet, release your family of this burden of this person who is worthless. So took the kids to school that day and got home. Rachel was at work. I knew a time frame that I had. I had a good couple of hours, so I wrote the note, put it at the front of the door, well, near the front entrance, so when she came in it was there, and basically said, don't go in the back garden, I'm very sorry, but it's time for me to go. Call the police. I then went in the kitchen, and at this time Tess was maybe a couple of years old, maybe 3 years old, and she's very in tune with everything. She loves kids, and you know, she loved us unconditionally, but we always had a bond, because when we went to pick her up when she was 8 weeks old, I said to Rachel, now, do you want to hold her in the back seat or do you want me to? I said, because whoever does it, she will imprint on that person, because she'll know that that person is holding her, keeping her safe and what have you. And she'll know, I'll drive and you hold her, which I did, and she puked all over me about 4 times. But we had this little thing, this little connection, and she knew something was wrong. She kept following me around, and I basically went in the kitchen, got a tea towel, and got every knife that I had from the kitchen. I mean, I used to do a lot of cooking. Being the primary caregiver, I did all the housework chores while Rachel was at work, and cooked most dinners, and you know, I was a very proficient cook, if I do say so myself. And I prided myself on the equipment that I had. So I had Anthony Wall Thompson knives, and you know, all the good stuff, and everything was sharp, kept everything sharp. So I gathered up this tea towel and locked the patio door, leaving Tess inside, and I basically went in the back garden behind the trampoline and laid out the cutlery. And I sat there for a while, and I picked up the carving knife. I sat there and I thought, have I got the courage to do it? You know, I wasn't thinking about pain at all, because I live in, I know this sounds like bravado, but I live in constant pain. And pain, it gets to a point some days where the pain is so bad, it plateaus, and I kind of get like an endorphin rush off it. And they're rare, but they're fantastic days when that happens. But I was sitting by this trampoline thinking, I was wrestling with myself. Am I doing the right thing? Is there any possibility that the kids will find me? No, because they're at school, and Rachel finishes way before school finishes, and she's coming home straight away to make sure that I'm still there and okay. So there's no danger of that. Right, I'm going to do it. So I got the carving knife, felt for my pulse in my neck, and drew quite firmly. But on this occasion, the knife wasn't biting in for some reason. More than likely, I wasn't pressing hard enough. But I thought, oh, it's not sharp enough. So I thought, I'll use the bread knife. It was a solid steel bread knife. That will act like a saw. That's going to do the job. As I picked that up, Tess appeared. She'd got out somehow. No windows were open. She'd unlocked the patio door and got out and came to where I was, and she put her head where my hand was and was pushing the knife away and laying across me. And that set me off. I was in floods of tears saying, I've got to go, Tess, I've got to go. And I put her back in the house, and I don't think I locked it this time, because I wanted to put her in the house, go back and then quickly do it. So I put her in the house, shut the door. Before I got back to the trampoline, she was back at my side again, nudging my hand. And I thought, you're right, Tess, you're right. What am I doing? This is crazy. So I gathered all the cutlery up, gave her a huge cuddle, floods of tears, and told her how fantastic she was, and went back inside, and basically just sat down, and I was just holding her and stroking her and what have you. And then I could hear the car pull up, and I thought, oh bloody hell, the note. So I ran to the front door, grabbed the note, and just as I was coming up, Rachel walked in, and I must have had a startled look on my face like, you've done something wrong, what is it? And she looks at me and goes, what have you done? And she could see a little trickle. She said, oh Tim, what have you done? And then I did what I always did, you know, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I must have said sorry 10,000 times over a period of about a month. She must have been sick of hearing it, but it was all I could do. You know, I said, I'm sorry. And she said, I can't take much more of this, you know. I said, I'm trying, I'm trying. And she said, that's it. She said, if you try once more, she said, that's it. She said, I want nothing to do with you. And the hope was that would shock me into, getting some help or getting a grip on what was happening. Again, normal routine, walking the kids to school, having to stop and what have you. Things weren't right at all for myself. I was still really struggling, and walking back from school one day, the bus was coming and I was just walked towards the road, and it wasn't until I got 1 foot off the curb that I came to, what the hell are you doing? I was going to step in front of the bus, and I had no it wasn't premeditated, not thought about it or anything. It was just a case of I wasn't in control of my own body. I was just going to walk in front of the bus and do it without even thinking about doing it, and that scared me. And I thought, this is crazy. And again, the thought processes and the constant questions and what have you. And again, basically what happens in your brain is explained to me. There's like a bridge that connects the left and the right. So if you can imagine there's a bridge like that, and you've got information that's crossing the bridge from your left and your right. But when you have mental instability or mental illness, the bridge is raised on one side. So the information comes across the bridge but drops into an abyss. It doesn't get to the other side. So these questions that this side's asking this side doesn't know anything about it. It's all going down there. But this side doesn't know this side doesn't know. So you just have this constant noise in your brain, constant questions, and it's all at 100 miles an hour. You can't ever sleep. You can't ever get a decent sleep. You'll be just on the edge of dropping off, and then there'll be like a tap on your brain. Hang on a minute. Oh, we ain't finished for today. What about this? What about that? Why haven't you done this? Why isn't that happening? Why isn't that happening? And it never stopped. And it came to a point where one day, I'm going to stop it there actually and do a part 3, because we're at 18 minutes coming up to, and I don't want to rush this next part, because this next part is not very pleasant at all, and it might be difficult for me to get through it, so I might need a bit of time. Thanks for your patience, thanks for viewing, and hopefully a few more of you have subscribed, because mental health does need talking about, and it is a difficult subject, and the best thing you can do is hold your hand up and say, can someone help? Thanks for watching. See you in part 3, hopefully.